Hi chefs, today we're in the kitchen, but you need to pack your bags because we're all going to France. That's right, to Bayonne. And if you haven't been there, it's in the southwest part of France, and we're going to be making Jambon de Bayonne. So while this Jambon de Bayonne might sound fancy, it's actually something that's made with a bunch of very basic ingredients. And this is the finished product. So nothing fancy here, but I promise you, when you taste this, it's so versatile and delicious, and this is gonna come together so easily. So in order to make our meat, we do want to start off making a dough. So we're going to be using bread flour and water. Very basic ingredients. Can't get much more basic than that. So I'm just going to be slowly combining my water here. And this is most of the water. Now, if you can see, of course, this is white, and our finished jambon is pink or red. So I am going to be adding a little bit of food grade food coloring in a pink or dusty rose, whatever you can get. Now, while we're making this jambon, you might not have ever heard of Jambon de Bayonne, but you might have heard of its Italian cousin. It's known as prosciutto. Now, after you've kneaded it for 5 minutes, just put it in a bowl and let it rest for 1 hour. Now that your dough's rested for the hour, you just want to put it in a really nice large bowl, and we're going to rinse it with water. And so we're going to rinse it not once, but 5 different times to get all the starch out of here and get this to be almost pure protein. So once you fill your bowl, you just want to completely knead with both your hands all of this dough. You'll see the water is going to get much cloudier and whiter. So now that we have washed our dough 5 times, you can see it's reduced in size. It has become a little bit deeper in color, and we want to let it rest for 1 more hour. Now, while your seitan is continuing to rest, you want to assemble your flavorings and seasonings that we're going to put in there to make it taste like our jambon. And first of all, I want to mention to you one of our brand new ingredients that we're putting into this recipe, and we're going to be rolling out across the world, and that's called Shea or Shea. Now, you might have heard of this in the past. It's been very common around the world that people have used it on their bodies and on their hair. Men have even used it on their beards. And it's been very common, again, used on a topical or body application. But this absolutely is 100% food grade, and it's being used now in other applications. For example, anybody out there like chocolate? That's right. It's being used predominantly in Belgian and Swiss chocolatiers to replace cocoa butter. So why are we using Shea or Shea? This is actually something that's going to be easier for you to use. It's going to be much healthier, and it's also lower cost. So the Shea is going to actually give our jambon a fantastic consistency that really replicates the our completely vegan version is utilizing this fat in addition with the seitan to create a very authentic mouth feel. Historically, the only people who have really eaten this type of oil on any consistent basis are people in West Africa. So think of Burkina Faso. Yeah, we'll show you on the map where that is. And ironically, when people actually got sick and had colds or flus, they would make a tea, an herbal tea that had ginger and other spices in it and honey, and then they would put this shea powder in their tea and drink it, and it acted as a natural way to cure many ailments. Now, if you're not sick, don't worry. It's also a great reason to use this as a fat in your diet because this shea butter is so healthy. It is, and it's also anti-aging. That's right. Who doesn't want to look a little bit younger or prevent mother time or father time from taking over? This has anti-aging and anti-inflammatory effects on the body. It also is high in vitamin A and E. Let me repeat myself. This is palm oil free. That's right, 100% free of any palm oil. So now we're ready to add our spices. And to this, we're going to add first the shea. And then, remember, this is the Jambon de Bayonne, and that meat has actually a lot of hazelnut under flavorings and undercurrents. So I'm putting in some ground up, finely ground hazelnuts. So we're going to mix that in really well here into our dough. And then we're putting in some garlic powder, pork seasoning, a little bit of smoked paprika, salt, and some onion powder. And you want to stretch this. This is great for the kids to do. You want to incorporate this. Make sure you pull this apart. Incorporate all of the bits and the seasonings. Now, if some doesn't get incorporated, don't worry about it, but you want to get as much in there as possible. And then we're going to be stretching this and creating our meat to cook. Now that we've combined our seasonings and the nuts and shea, you just want to gently pull apart your meat. And then now we're going to be twisting it. And we're creating more of the meat type of strand and the muscle striations. So you just want to turn it, twist it, invert it. It's actually really fun. See how it looks very muscle-like? That's how we got rid of all the starch. Now we're infusing the color and the flavor. We're going to be pan frying it, and then we're going to be simmering it. Then it'll be cooling overnight. I'll be able to slice this the next day. So now I'm just heating up a pan with olive oil in here. You could also use the shea butter, but I want to put a little bit of, I want to combine some of the different flavors, and I like a little bit of olive oil in this, but it's 100% up to you. If you want to use the shea, you can use that as well. Now, once it's browned on both sides, look at that gorgeous crust we have on there. You just want to lower the temperature, and then I'm going to be adding about 50 mils of soy sauce, about 80 mils of red wine, and then a little bit of water. If you don't want to use red wine, that's fine. You can use all water and the soy sauce. And then you just want to cover this and let this simmer for about 45 minutes to an hour. Make sure it's on low until almost all the liquid evaporates. Not all of it, but almost all. You want to let this cool down, and for best flavor, you want to let this refrigerate overnight. So it comes out looking like this. Isn't that incredible? Look at that marbling that you get there from the shea as well as from the hazelnuts. And look at how incredibly this slices and looks just like the Jambon de Bayonne. I bet you can convince even your famous French friends, if you have any famous ones, or just any general Frenchman or French lady, mademoiselle. So what else can you use this for? Well, this can be popped into a sandwich. You could even slice it up and put it on pizza. You can also use this very similar technique to make a jamon de iberico. That's right, like the Spanish ham. So there's so many different applications. This could go on sandwiches. It could go over pasta. It could be on, of course, on a charcuterie platter. The sky's the limit in terms of versatility. But I promise you, the flavor and texture will fool even your most ardent omnivores. That's right, even your biggest meat-eating friends. I challenge them. Look, it has this wonderful, very moist yet fatty feel that is so reminiscent of actual animal flesh, animal meat. That's right. It bends, it's soft. You know, one of the other problems that a lot of other seitans have is that when they're made, they become very dry because there's really no fat in there. So that's what the shea does. It creates this wonderful, soft suppleness, and that's what's so indicative of this Jambon de Bayonne, because it is moist and much more soft than many of the other jamons, like the prosciutto and the Spanish ham. So that's why this is probably the best one you can start with if you're new to the Shea product. I promise you, this texture, the flavor, and the overall consistency will make you, your belly, the planet, and everyone happier. And one last note. This is 100% palm oil free, no palm oil.